Since I started this video series on how to get girls, there's one tip I've mentioned in several of them, and that's because it's 100% effective. Before I explain why it works so well, I want to tell you a personal story that convinced me that what I'm about to tell you is truly the only way to get girls and make them stick around for longer than the awkward first meet and greet. And I promise you, if you stay till the end of the video, you'll unlock the simplest technique to hack a woman's mind. I remember I was in my second year at college, and a friend invited me to a bar with some of his course mates that were hanging out after class. It seemed like a casual outing, but his real reason for inviting me was because he thought there was a girl in his class I'd get along with. And sure enough, I wasn't disappointed when I met her. Jessica was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen, and I instantly felt nervous and prayed over and over to not mess things up with her. I'd recently been consuming a lot of Stoic philosophy content online, and I was convinced that the right way to win her over was to act impersonal. I wanted to show her I had solid emotional control, so I forced myself to remain quiet, or only mildly chuckled when someone made a joke and others laughed. I also refused to sing along to popular songs playing in the background when everyone else did. It wasn't that I didn't want to have fun and laugh, but I thought being closed off would make me come across as mature and mysterious, which would make Jessica attracted to me. So imagine my surprise when I asked my friend if Jessica had said anything to him about me, and he told me she thought I was quiet and weird. I was immediately crushed by the reality I'd lost out on my dream girl because I was trying too hard to be someone I wasn't. I never met Jessica again, but I still wonder what could have been if I decided to be me. That experience shaped the way I approach women moving forward, and it made me realise that the simplest technique to hack a woman's mind is to simply be authentic. That brings me to why this technique actually works. For starters, being authentic means you don't have to act like someone you're not, which can quickly get exhausting. If Jessica was interested in my stoic persona after all, I would have had to keep pretending around her that I didn't enjoy laughing out loud or having fun, which wasn't true. If we did go on to date, maintaining that false personality would have taken a toll on me till the facade eventually cracked and we were both left disappointed. Her because she'd realised the real me wasn't what she signed up for, and me because after months of trying to be the perfect guy, I'd eventually have to face the reality she wasn't attracted to me. At least not truly. Save yourself the drama of looking like a fraud by just being yourself from the get-go. There's no point in putting so much effort into attracting a woman with a mask. It'll come off eventually, and she might run for the hills when it does. I talk a lot about how confidence boosts your chances with women on this channel, like in my video on how it's pretty easy to get girls actually, which you should certainly check out if you haven't already. But to reiterate what I said, women feed off your energy when talking to you, and if you're confident when you first meet, it shows you're a high-value man. However, unless you're a pathological liar, very few people can pull off an aura of confidence and still be authentic while pretending to be something they're not. If you're not into the same shows she likes, and you try to pass it off like you're the expert, you might make some mistakes that make you sound stupid. Whether it's going to the club or talking about what you do, you'll feel much more comfortable if you play in your element. Besides, women find confidence very attractive. Yes, another reason being authentic is one of the best ways to pick up women is that it's attractive. Now, I know some of you may already be jumping to say, but I'm not sexy. How does being myself help? But you have to walk with me. Too many people think being attractive is about what you wear or how you look, and while that's true, it's only part of it. After all, haven't you ever found yourself attracted to a girl that wasn't particularly attractive or a fashion icon, but for some reason there was just something about her you couldn't explain? If you have someone in mind, I'm willing to bet that you were or are drawn to her because she feels real and isn't trying to pretend. Most people can tell when someone is trying too hard, and that can be off-putting because it comes across as fake. On the other hand, when you're comfortable enough to show the real you, others feel comfortable enough to do the same around you, and that's attractive. I think now is a good time to insert a disclaimer that being authentic doesn't mean putting zero effort into being a better person. Being the real you is not an excuse to completely give up on self-development and expect girls to accept your barest minimum. That's not at all what I'm trying to preach. For example, deciding to get a gym membership and working out to get fitter isn't pretending to be someone else. It's an investment in your health and teaches you discipline. What's inauthentic is doing it specifically to impress a woman that casually mentioned she likes men with a six-pack. Trust me, your time at the gym will be short-lived because your motivations are completely extrinsic, and it's not a lifestyle you'd adopt otherwise. So stop overthinking everything the girl you like says and trying to mold yourself to be the man of her dreams. Not only will she find it creepy when she notices you're doing these things specifically because of her, but overthinking also sets you up to compare yourself to unrealistic standards. There's no way to be true to yourself if you don't even know who you are. It's easy to find yourself trying to imitate what your ideal woman wants if you don't even know who the ideal version of you is. That's why it's essential to ask yourself what you care about the most and what your values are. Is it your ambition to reach the peak of your career, or your loyalty to your friends and family? When you've locked in on what's important to you, don't compromise these to impress any girl. In fact, the idea of acting like someone that doesn't embody those values will never even cross your mind. Women may love men that are self-assured, even when they have traits that she considers annoying, because it shows that you're assertive. Knowing your values also prevents you from wasting time with the wrong women. For example, if you value growth and notice after a couple dates that the woman you're talking to lacks drive, that's a clear disconnect that will become a major issue, and you're both wasting your time. Speaking of time wasting, don't bother trying to downplay or sweep your flaws under the rug. I'm not saying you should dump your life story or highlight all your drawbacks on the first date, but if it does come up, don't run away from the conversation. If you're intimidated by the fact you don't make six figures, don't pretend like you do to keep her interested. Instead, own it and focus the narrative more on how you're locked in building a business, working on going back to college, or gaining valuable experience at your current workplace before you make a transition. Most ladies will respect you for being honest with them, and if she can't handle it, she's not the one. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be solid in who you are. I've seen too many guys try to get a girl to like them by acting like a nice guy, but this plan often backfires terribly. In most instances, these men get stuck in the friend zone or left on read because they're trying way too hard to be likable, and the girl can feel it. For example, if you're on a date and she says, "I love going out every weekend," but you're more of a chill, staying guy, don't say, "Yeah, me too." I know your intentions may be to be nice, but you'll both end up hating yourselves when she drags you out and you'd rather be at home, and she senses that you're not having a good time. You can respect her lifestyle and interests without pretending to like them, either all in the guise of trying to be nice. Besides, disagreeing respectfully is one of the fastest ways to make a woman attracted to you. It shows her you're not afraid of conflict and that you're not desperate for approval either. While we're on the topic of doing things for the sake of approval, steer clear of cliche interview questions like, "Where are you from?" or "What are your hobbies?" It's not that these questions are bad, but they're pretty generic and can make your first meet feel like a boring interview where you're both just going through the motions. Instead, go for deeper questions like, "What's the best decision you made in the last year?" Questions like those feel less like a PowerPoint presentation and more like a conversation between people with interests. Of course, you don't have to use the example I gave. You can ask her about anything you're genuinely curious about, especially if it's a topic you're familiar with, because it'll make it easier to be yourself. And when you're authentic, hacking a woman's mind to form a real connection is possible. Even though I never crossed paths with Jessica again, I'm still haunted by what could have been if I'd simply been authentic. There's a good chance she would have liked the real me that laughs out loud and tried to have fun. And with the tips from my previous video on how flirting with women is easy, we might have become a couple. If you don't want that to be your story, subscribe to my channel for more insightful dating advice. And of course, if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up to help out the next guy.